Today we say a prayer for the people of Ukraine. May God watch over them. I am going to be using a ruler, Sharpie, pencil, and some watercolor paper. And today I'm going to be painting a cross with sunflowers. That is the national flower of Ukraine. I'm making marks at the 3-inch and 6-inch lines of my ruler. I'm doing them in 2 spots so that I can make a line to connect them. So this vertical line is 3 inches into my watercolor paper. My watercolor paper is 9 by 12. And then this one is at the 6-inch mark of my watercolor paper so that my cross will be 3 inches wide. Now I'm going to make a mark 3 inches down from the top of the paper and 6 inches down from the top of the paper. I'll do the same thing on the side, 3 inches and 6 inches. And I'm going to connect those lines to make the horizontal lines of the cross. So this one is 6 inches down from the top of my paper, and this line is 3 inches down from the top of my paper. I'm going to go ahead and draw some lines at the top and bottom of my cross and along the sides to go ahead and enclose it in. These lines are about 1/2 inch from the edges of my paper so that I am using up the entire page, just leaving a little bit of a border on the sides. Now that I have my lines in pencil, I want to trace them in Sharpie so that they are nice and bold. I am being careful to lift my Sharpie where the cross is in the center so that I do not have any lines going through the center part of my cross. I'm going ahead and starting with the vertical lines on the edges and along the center of the cross here, making sure to lift my Sharpie and put it back down again for the bottom. And then I'm going to draw in all of my horizontal lines, doing the top and the bottom edges of the cross, and then also the center part, making sure to lift my Sharpie again so that I do not have a line going through the middle part of the cross. I just want an outline. Notice as I'm using my ruler, I'm spreading my fingers out wide so that they can help my ruler stay still and keep from moving. The reason I am using Sharpie for this is because when I add water or paint, the Sharpie will not wash away. It's a permanent marker, so it will not be affected. I'm going to go ahead and erase my extra pencil lines in the center part of my cross because I do not need those. And now I'm going to draw my flowers. If you're more comfortable drawing your flowers with pencil first and then tracing them with Sharpie, you can do that, but I'm going to go ahead and start right away with Sharpie. And I'm going to choose an area off to the right side here for the center of my first sunflower. Sunflowers are one of my favorite flowers because they are such a cheerful looking flower. They grow close to my home here in Wisconsin, and I love going and looking at the sunflower fields. I even have a few that grow in my yard because of bird seed that falls into the grass and then gets forgotten and turns into a nice sunflower plant. All right, as you can see, I am starting out by adding some petals that are kind of spaced out from each other, and then I'm going back in and filling in some petals in between them. I do want to add a couple of layers of petals here because sunflowers usually have quite a few. The nice thing too is that some of them have shorter petals, some of them have longer petals, so if yours don't look just like mine, it's not a big deal. Once you have a couple layers of petals, you can start on a new sunflower. So I'm going to add another center down here, and I'm going to start off by spacing out my petals a little bit around the edges of my sunflower. And then I'm going to go back in and fill in between the petals with my Sharpie. And I'm adding a couple between, and then I'll also add another layer behind these. My second layer is kind of in between some of the ones that I have there. Notice that some of my petals are going straight off the side of my cross, which is fine. I'm going to do just a hint of a third one here. There's the center of it, and I want to throw in a couple petals just to fill up the space over here because there is quite a bit left, and I'm just throwing a couple petals in here to kind of fill that area in. I want to add a couple of leaves coming out from behind these petals, so I'm going to draw in a couple of leaves. Maybe do 2 for the top sunflower here, maybe 1 for each of the others. If ever I'm going too fast for you, please don't hesitate to pause the video so that you can catch up with me. And now that I have all of my sunflowers and my leaves drawn, I'm going to get ready to paint. The paint I am using is a watercolor paint, and I'm using professional quality paint, so my colors will be nice and vibrant. These are Holbein watercolors, but you can use whatever watercolors you have. I'm using lots of paint, not a ton of water, and I'm just trying to add a nice bold yellow to my petals. I'm using a pointed brush so that I can get the tips of those petals nice and easily. I believe this brush is a Hemi brush, and I believe it's maybe a number 12, maybe even higher than that. Oh, nope, it is 12. And you can just order them on Amazon. It's nice. The size is nice because it holds quite a bit of paint. I'm going right around brushing each one of my petals here with a kind of a lemon yellow color, mixing it with a warm yellow as well. So I'm kind of going back and forth between the two and just kind of getting a preliminary wash on each of these petals. I went out into a sunflower field last summer and took a bunch of pictures of sunflowers, and now I have all these beautiful reference photos I can use so that I can paint more and more of them. Now I'm adding some brown to the center of my flowers, and I'm not necessarily waiting for the yellow to dry. It's okay if they intermingle a little bit. You can see some of my yellow is seeping into the brown because the color will go wherever the paper is wet, and that is okay. I'm trying to kind of build up the darkness of the browns here, especially using kind of spotted brushing techniques. I noticed that I missed 2 petals on this one, so I'm going back in and adding some yellow there. And then now I'm going to start with my leaves, adding some green and trying to use not a ton of water, filling those in the best that I can here. You do probably want to have most of your yellow petals dry, otherwise your green and your yellow can mix. So I'm trying to kind of make sure that my petals are dry before I go in and add these leaves in the background. And I'm trying to be very careful with my edges as I am adding this green. Again, that's why this pointed brush is so nice. Here I do have a little bit of green and yellow intermingling, which is not too big of a deal. All right, For the background color, I've chosen blue, kind of a sky blue, nice and bright and cheerful. A dark green would also make a really nice background color, but really you could choose any color to fill in around the flowers. And then I'm doing what's called negative painting right now. So I'm painting around the positive shapes, which are the flowers and leaves. I'm trying to be a very careful negative painter as I'm going around each of these edges. I liked the contrast of the blue to the yellow, so I wanted to make it nice and vibrant here. And I'm just using that to fill in around all of the parts of my flowers. Once I have finished adding all of the blues in, my last step is just going to be to darken up the browns just a little bit more. So as I finish this up here, I'm going to switch back to brown and see if I can hit the centers once again and just darken them up a little bit more. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know how your painting turns out. And while you are at it, maybe say a little prayer or send some wishes to the people of Ukraine that they may be safe and that God may watch over them in this difficult time in their country and guard and protect them. All right, blessings on your day. Thanks for watching.